Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Phillip Siddiq Show. It is our pleasure, our privilege. As most of you know, I grew up on martial arts films. I cut my teeth on all of them, and we would watch the subtitled ones and then the English ones rolled in. Fast forward to today. We have a star. She's breaking out in her first acting gig, and she is the star of YAKUZA Princess. Welcome to the show. Masumi, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, tell us about the film, or I could just read the synopsis and then you can fill in the blanks.
Okay.
Okay. Set in the expansive Japanese community of Sao Paulo, which I didn't know that, the largest Japanese diaspora in the world, YAKUZA Princess follows Akemi Masumi, an orphan who discovers she is the heiress to half of the YAKUZA crime syndicate. Forging an uneasy alliance with an amnesiac stranger, Jonathan Myers, who believes an ancient sword binds their two fates. Akemi must unleash war against the other half of the syndicate who wants her dead.
Yep.
Welcome to the show. I mean, I'm excited to speak with you about this, and we must not forget your recording career.
Okay.
Okay, so how did you get involved with this particular film, being this is your first acting gig?
Yeah, that's right. So to begin with, I didn't really have a lot of interest in becoming an actress. I was always about doing music. And at some point recently, I wanted to take a little bit of break from music. I had been doing it for a long time, and I thought I wanted to try something a little bit different, just to, get the creative juices going in a different, field. And so I enrolled in acting school that my husband was going to. And 3 months into that acting school, I got the audition for YAKUZA Princess. And that's how it happened.
Fantastic. Training for this particular film, how long did it get you to train? Because I mean, the choreography, the fighting you do, it's like a dance, but in some spots, it's a very violent dance. And what were the safeguards they used, because you're working with the katana and a samurai sword?
The katana, katana is a samurai sword. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just the safety aspects of it, because I mean, it was very intense. And there's one scene, I call it the skull cracker, if you remember it. You remember that scene?
Yes.
Okay. That's all we're gonna say about it, but
right. Well, for the safety of it, we were practicing with plastic swords. It was not a real sword, and even the real sword, it wasn't refined, so it wasn't sharp at all. It couldn't cut anything. The weight of it was definitely there, like a real katana, because it is a real katana without being refined, and we have that specially made. For the rehearsal, we always used a plastic of it, just to kind of mime the movement, and so I could get the movement in my body. But the challenging part of it was that I had never had done stunts or martial arts or sword or kendo in my life. So
wow.
We needed to train very quickly. And I had 1 month to train and get all the movements down. And initially we had a lot more, it was a longer fight choreography that we had to cut down for the sake of the movie. But I had my husband, who is a US martial art champion. So then he came with me to train, and we trained at the dojo, and then we trained back at our apartment gym as well. So there was a lot of training within the month. Yeah.
Now, when your husband was coaching you along, did you guys actually say, bring up any emotion about training that particular way? Or was it all just laid back, or did you guys get really, really intense to where you're like, honey, stop?
I never told him to stop, because I needed that training. We started from the basics, because you can't just learn the movements without knowing the basics. So he spent a lot of time with the basics so I can, train my muscles too. And I didn't want to get hurt. And it was long hours. It was all night shoots where, your body starts to become inflexible. So I needed to prepare for all of that. That was coming in a month ahead of time. So, I mean, I would get frustrated, right? Because I wanted to get better quicker. Also the character development that I had to, like, the lines and all that I wanted to spend time with. And so I would get frustrated a few times, but I'm grateful that I had a lot of support in that.
Good. The other thing, you do show a range of emotions. And for a first-time actor, that's very, very difficult,
Oh,
especially the crying scenes.
hmm.
What did you use as a memory to pull up the scenes where you actually shed tears?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, what I've created for her, everything was very real. So um, I wasn't really planning to cry, I think. I don't know if I was planning to cry, if I wasn't planning to cry. It was just a very emotional scene. And I had been, the moment I got the script, I prepared it like I already got the role. So I had been sitting with her character for a very long, not very long time, but yeah, like a month and a half maybe. I had spent so much time on creating the memories of her. So when I had to get emotional, I was it was easy for me to get there, I think.
Okay. Working with the director, Vicente Amorim, what was that like for you? Because this is not like his first rodeo around the block. He knows what he's doing. What was that like for you being a new actor in this genre?
Hmm. Well, working with Vicente Amorim was amazing. Like you said, he is a very experienced director, and you can really tell that from the movies and the TV shows he has out there. And so I felt like I was in good hands, just having a small meeting before I went to Brazil and watching his movies like Dirty Hearts and The Motorrad, which is his famous TV show that he directed. But coming to Brazil and meeting him was a whole different experience because he was so warm, so funny, so communicative. It was everybody that worked with him was, just grateful to be there because it was such a great chemistry on set. We had a really good uh, communicative relationship, I should say. We were very expressive of what we thought about the characters. And so I felt like I was in great hands. Yeah, it was a good time.
Great. Now, if you could take us back when you first met Jonathan, what was that like? Because I say he's not new to this action genre either. What was that like for you if you could take us back to that moment?
Uh-huh. I'll take you back to that very first moment I met Jonathan. Um, it was at the studio. He had just landed from LA to Brazil, and I met him, or I was watching him from afar and seeing how much aura he had around him and knowing how much caliber of an actor he was. I was quite nervous, working with him. So I decided to be very upfront with him. So I went up to him and said, "Hey, Jonathan, I just want to give you a heads up that this is my first time everything. I have never acted, and I'm going to need a lot of support from you and a lot of patience, I guess." And he was he was very supportive when he heard that. He said, "Masumi, I understand how it feels. I've been there before. I'm going to support you, and I'm right there with you, and I'm never going to let you do something that you would feel embarrassed of." And that's exactly what he did for me. He was teaching me, every time we worked together, he was helping me, and he was like a big brother to me.
Okay, working with the next great gentleman, I'll just say Takashi, his name, because I will slaughter his name, his real name.
Yes.
Working with him, as I said, he's familiar too. He's award-winning actor. What did you glean from working with him?
Yeah, I grew up watching him as well. He was like my childhood idol. You see him in TV all the time in Japan. Working with him, especially with sword, he taught me a lot about sword because he has a lot of experience with it. And I didn't get to work side by side with him too much. It was more with Jonathan, but he taught me a lot about sword and about the acting life of how to how to have a, oh, also actually he taught me something that was very useful. He told me when he travels in foreign places, he doesn't eat at night because your body's still adjusting to the time difference, and when you don't eat at night, then it doesn't bloat you in camera. And I was like, oh my gosh, I did not know that. And so that was a big tip he gave me.
Masumi, I didn't realize that either. Everyone, we're having a sit-down conversation with Masumi, the star of the new film coming out, Yakuza Princess. Now, tell us about Sao Paulo, going there. This is your first time, right?
Yes,
What
absolutely.
was it like for you?
It was very beautiful country. People are warm there. I especially like the food there, but I didn't get to do a lot of sightseeing because the schedule was really tight. And a lot of times we had 2 days of off in a week. In those 2 days, I had to go in and practice the movement. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time sightseeing, but I got to spend a lot of time with my uh, production team, and they became like my family.
Okay, we're gonna talk about a couple certain scenes in there. No spoilers, of course.
Mhm.
The club scene when you were singing. I think it was song 72,
Uh-huh.
and it was your birthday. Was that you really singing that song? Because it was like I think a karaoke bar.
Right. That was my song that I wrote and produced, actually.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. But go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Hmm.
It wasn't. I recorded that song a couple years ago, and it was a song about basically like a fight song, and we thought it was fitting for Akemi to sing that song. Except that because I wrote that song and it's my song, I kept wanting to make the song sound good and perfect, and my singer side wanted to take the stage, and Vicenci kept saying, "No, Masumi, you're not a singer, and you can't sing that way. You're drunk and you suck at singing." I was like, okay. So we tweaked a little things so I could sound a little less like a singer. And I would say that that was the most challenging part, to kind of not sing my song up to the best that it could sound.
Hmm. So you sang the song not as Masumi, but as Akemi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was the toughest part. But that's important, I guess, because I mean, I was a Kimmy, right?
Yes, you were. I was thinking as I heard you singing the song and watching, observing you, I thought I said, I bet she performed this song. I just know she did.
Uh-huh.
And the gentleman who invaded that particular space,
Right.
you and your friend handled them quite well.
Thank you so much. I handled
Yeah,
him.
yeah, that was a very interesting and funny scene. Now
Yeah.
you're right. Now the chemistry with Jonathan, because I'm looking at the film and I'm looking at these are two people on a parallel path. You're finding out who you are, Akemi is, and then he's trying to remember who he was, which I thought of the Bourne Identity,
Mm-hmm.
those particular films. So working with Jonathan, what were some of the, I would say, the funnier portions that you could tell us that happened on set?
Fine. I mean, Jonathan was funny. He's also, he's always just cracking jokes, and just being around him was so, because this movie is, a lot of dark feelings, heavy feelings is the majority of it. So it was he was just a ball of light, being on set. It's this very heavy feeling, a lot of fighting and a lot of feeling angry and sad. And then right when it's cut, you just, Jonathan just around all the time, and it was really great to have him on set.
He just made it light.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a sign of a good actor, making everyone else around them comfortable to slip into the character.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
this particular film happens 20 years ago, and then we see you. So how did you study the character when we don't see her? We see her as a baby, and then she grows up. How did you develop that part of your character? Did you have to go into like when you were little, or build it up and imagine it?
Well, I never uh think of my personal experience too much because I wanted to keep it separate, but I did create a lot of memories for Akemi. And that feeling of having this sort of this faint memory of being born in Japan, but then, you know, it's not a very clear memory, and you're sort of lost with who you are right now in this Brazil. You know, you don't feel quite like Brazilian, quite like Japanese, and this sort of confusion. I felt like I knew what that was like, so I created a lot of memories around that.
Right. Can we talk about the I would say the supernatural part of the film?
Mhm.
At least for me, I saw some very supernatural parts of the film, especially the sword. The sword reminded me of one of those martial arts animes. I thought of a demon sword.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us a story about the sword? And before we do that, this is something I had to bring it on. I had to bring it on air. I have had this thing for like 40 years.
Oh, wow.
My little katana I have for 40 so years. So
Wow.
yeah, you made me bring it out. So let's talk about the sword in the in the film, the katana in the film.
mean, the story of Muramasa is
Yes.
it's the name is not the same, but we do have that
Mhm.
story being sort of like a myth in Japan. And I've talked about it with my dad too, and it's an interesting story. The Muramasa in the movie is the reason why me and Shiro are sort of having to form an uneasy alliance, although I do not trust him and he probably doesn't trust me either. So it's an interesting symbolic figure in the movie.
And you willed it very well.
Oh, thank you so
You know,
much.
yeah, and when they take you to, when you're finding out and they take you to that secluded place where the other Yakuza, I guess those old bosses were,
Uh-huh.
and you're walking through it was the graveyard, and there was one picture you saw and you were saying, how could this be? How could this be? I'm not going to give it away, but was that part of the supernatural aspect of the film too? Because that reminded me of something supernatural. I mean, the way they filmed it, they shot it, and your response to it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's meant to be vague, you know, it's meant to be something like kind of like where you never know where the truth is. You never know what the truth is. And I think that's what's cool about the way it was told, because it's kind of like Akemi's trying to find this truth, but it gets, the more she chases it, the more confusing it becomes. And sometimes life is like that. You the truth of things is not as clear as you want it to be. And so you have to make your own decision. You have to come up with your own answers and commit to it. And I think that's what Akemi does. And that's what I do with my life too. And so that's the empowering part of Akemi's story, I think.
Right. Now, after the film wrapped, what did you guys all do to celebrate? If you can tell us, of course.
I went to bed.
What?
Yeah, I think I was so exhausted when the shoot was over, because again, it was 90% of night shoots. That means we're shooting from midnight to 6 a.m. 90% of the time, doing the action scenes between those hours 90% of the time. I mean, that was really going against of the natural cycle of your body, right? So when it ended, I think we were all very exhausted, and what we wanted to do was rest. And we were in Paranapiacaba, which is not in the city. It was 2 hours away from the city, where it was very remote. Hot water was not readily available. It was that kind of area. So all of us just went home and used the hot water that we could, and then went to bed.
Very monumentous, I should say.
Yeah.
You've seen the final print. Did all of you get together to watch the final print, or was it more of a private thing?
It was a very private thing, yeah.
Okay. Now, seeing yourself for the very first time on the big screen,
Mhm.
how did you feel? Take us right back to that feeling. How did you feel and say, I did this?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was kind of a surreal feeling, right? I never saw myself in the playbacks. So that was like really the first time I saw myself acting in the screen. And I would say that I just felt this immense pride. I was like, wow, I did this. I did that. I was very proud of it.
Now, when it's released and it's VOD on a big screen, are you and your husband and friends, are you guys going to go check it out?
Yeah, that's what we're planning to do. Absolutely. Yeah. It's gonna be really interesting and exciting to see how people would react. Yeah.
Please, if you do, get on your Instagram. Everybody follow her on her Instagram. She's on YouTube also. And if you could just post a little quick thing, we would be so happy to see your guys' first reactions of seeing the film, because I believe folks will be surprised how authentic it is. And I'm sure authenticity is important to you, if I'm correct.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what makes the movie unique. Authenticity on Brazilian side and the Japanese side.
Yes, I have to say. And we have something in common. You like Nina Simone.
Yes, I love Nina Simone.
Yeah. Authenticity. That was one of her, I guess, her core values.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yes.
Authenticity.
Yes.
Before we wrap up, I have to do this because I mean, what was it? If you can get into character and the guy called you Aki, can you just get quick into character and then just respond back when he called you that? Aki, you go. Okay, you guys, you'll have to see the film to see that. But
that one is theater.
You guys will have to see the film to see that. We've just sat down with Masumi, you guys. First time actor. I think she's got nothing but up. Hopefully we'll see it. Oh, by the way, you guys, there is a post-credit scene. Do not leave the theater. There's a post-credit scene that you have to see, because it'll make you think, is it going to be a part 2? Is it going to be a part 3? Can there be a part 4? You guys got to support the film though. Go out there and see it. So I think it's going to be a hit for me, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching you your first time getting on there and welding that katana just like butter. So everyone, as I said, follow her on Instagram. She's on YouTube also. So if you'd like to give your Instagram address, that'll be fine.
Yeah, it's at masumi.music.
Okay. I won't say she'll follow you back. That'll be a decision she makes, but you should follow some people back, Masumi. You really should.
All righty.
All right. Would you like to say anything to your fans, music fans, to see this film?
Oh, my music fans. Okay. Well, I will be releasing a few music with the launch of the movie. So it will be great if you guys listen to the music as well. There's more coming. So I hope you guys stay tuned.
Perfect. And one more last thing. Do you speak Japanese?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Perfect. If you can say that in Japanese because we have Japanese viewers too. If you could let them know, hey, see this film, and however you want to do that.
Okay. 日本の皆さん、9月3日にヤクザプリンセスが公開されます。オンディマンドなので、もしよかったらぜひ見てみてください。そして私の新しい新曲も聴いてみてください。よろしくお願いします。
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Masumi. Thank you again.
Great.
And Magnolia Pictures, hey, all you guys, thank you so much for allowing me to have this interview. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Phillip.